Okay, so hi, welcome to the webinar. I hope you're having a good day, evening, afternoon, whatever in the world you're located. So we're having the first webinar for the Committee of University and Student Programs, which is CUSP. And we hope this is the first of many chances for you to take advantage of this or for make this webinar yours. So I'm John Marie Blanco. I'm a geophysicist from Venezuela, and I serve as the CUSP chair along with Aurelian and Triag, and also the CUSP president, which is Jeff, and not currently in here. And we're joined by fellow CUSP members from the committee and SEG staff. Catherine is in here. And of course, you, SEG student chapter officers and faculty advisors. So what are we? We are part of SEG. Next slide. And okay, so SEG, as you know, is dedicated to the advance of science and exploration geophysics and to foster common scientific interests and support humanitarian efforts and accelerate the innovation in geophysics, all within the mission of connecting the world of applied geophysics. So we are one of those committees, which is, as I said before, the Committee of University and Student Programs, CUSP. So we have a structure that tries to be parallel of members working in close collaboration. And we have a SEG board liaison, a student portfolio volunteer, as well as SEG staff liaison. As I mentioned before, we have the chair, the past chair, and co-chairs from student co-chair and another co-chair from industry or academia. And we have roles within volunteer roles, part of CUSP that takes care of the Student Chapter Excellence Program, the International Geosciences Student Conferences, the members at large that are liaisons with the membership committee, and programs such as the Challenge Bowl and the Forum, etc. So if you go to the next slide. So one of the programs that SEG currently have for the students, in this case, officers from student chapters, is the Student Leadership Symposium. It offers travel grants to our students to participate in a two-day course focused on leadership. And you in there, you can develop, study best practices, how to improve professional skills in terms of coaching, leadership, team building activities, problem solving sessions, etc. Information about this can be found on the website, and we can always in future webinars address this as the deadlines for applications are closer. We also have the student education program, which is a 2.5 day short course, including lectures and exercises from to get hands-on experience on geoscience, geophysical work performing directly in industry. We also have the Challenge Bowl, which most of you, I'm sure, have heard of, participated even. It's a contest testing your knowledge in geosciences. And we have local, regional competitions, and the winner of that goes to the international final, world final, being held during the annual meeting, whichever place it is for that current year. We also have the International Geoscience Student Conferences, which is a student-led and student-organized event where students can present their work, the research, posters, oral presentations. It also includes activities such as keynote speakers, guest speakers, workshops, field trips, and social activities and other activities good for networking. And it's important that student chapters can take the lead and organize these events. And for that, you would submit a proposal to SEG with enough anticipation. The first one was held in Romania in 2010 in Bucharest. Last year, we had one in Uppsala in Sweden. And for that's this year, 2019. And for the next year, we will have a couple, one in Aachen in Germany and one in China. Another topic that we want to discuss with you is the Student Chapter Excellence Program, and it really pertains to you because you are student chapters. So next slide. So as you know, you have an application for the Best Student Chapter, and you have an activity report where you detailed all the activities and accomplishments within the year, and points are awarded depending on how many events you participated, volunteering activities, outreach, etc. And there's a committee, a subcommittee within CUSP that takes those applications, evaluate them, and rank your chapter either in base, rich, or summit level. The important thing in here is, yes, it's important, to reach a certain level, but it's more important how you improve and how you remain active, and you want to collaborate with other student chapters, and you do your best with the resources that you have to be a good chapters with activities that really impact not only your university or your fellow students, but your community. And in the next slide, okay. So one of the reasons why we're here and how you got contact was because at CUSP we have points of contact. So that consists in a group of volunteers that would reach to a certain chapters within the world. We have around 350 student chapters, out of which approximately 240 are currently active. And the world is divided by SEG in districts. In the next slide, you can see the districts. And based on that classification, we gathered volunteers to reach out to you and be our point of contact. So the way of CUSP to have a more direct contact with you guys. If you go to the next slide, you can see how that actually works. We have District 1 and 2, Houston and Texas. You have the Southwest USA, North and East USA. For Houston and Texas, we have Clark, Trenton. For Southwest USA, we're actually looking for volunteer. For North and East USA, we have Diane and Ben. For Canada, we have Hema Sharma. For Latin America, Maria, myself, and Aurelian. For North Europe, we have Deborah. For South and Central Europe, Anna and Marco. From Sub-Saharan Africa, Ellie and Shubham. North Africa, West and South Asia, Mohammed, Sarab, and Yang. From East Asia, Usona and Chirag. And from Pacific, Aaron and Jeffrey. I would like to ask if any of you, the ones that I'm mentioning, I saw some of you in the list. If you, at this moment, want to say something to the chapters, introduce yourself, so they can see the actual face that send those emails, and a little bit about your background, that would be great. Who wants to start?
I can start if no one else will. I'm with the OSU SEG organization. We're going to go ahead and attend. The president was going to be attending today, but I'm being able to fill in for him. My name is Nick Johnson. I'm the treasurer.
This is Clark Trentham. I thought I was speaking earlier, but apparently unmuting didn't work. I have my picture turned off because it's laptops looking up into my face. It's a very unflattering angle, but did seismic imaging for 36 years and retired from ExxonMobil just a couple of years ago.
I'm Diane Dozer. I'm from UT El Paso, and I'm a geophysicist working everything from shallow subsurface geophysics to earthquake tectonics.
We're following the list. Probably the next one will be me. So hi, I'm Aurelian. I'm a research assistant, doctoral candidate at the Freie University in Berlin, Germany. I'm the current student co-chair of CUSP, and I'm responsible for student chapters in Brazil and Trinidad and Tobago.
I am Eli Mulungu. from Kenya. I'm a geophysicist working with BGP SNPC. I represent District 9, Sub-Saharan Africa, the Shubham.
Hello everyone, this is Shubham from India. I'm assisting Ellie in conducting the meeting for Sub-Saharan African chapters. I work as a geophysicist in ONGC.
Should I just go ahead then? Hi, I'm Debbie. I'm a second-year PhD student at Cambridge, and I'm working on wavefront tomography beneath Southeast Asia. And I've been involved with SEG for I think 3 years now, and I'm responsible for the Northern Europe student chapters.
I'm working right now as a technical sales engineer in Datalog. I'm responsible for the chapters in North Africa, West and South Asia.
Well, I am Maria Ayala. I am a representative for some Latin American chapters in Mexico, Argentina, Salvador, and Peru. I'm a geophysicist from Universidad Autónoma del Carmen in Mexico, and I'm currently working as an offshore surveyor and geophysical processing trainee in oceaneering here in Mexico.
Is anyone else missing? Well, the idea of this was for you to see who contacted you and to know that any question, concern, you can direct it to them. And as well as if you have any idea about the topics that we are gonna keep discussing today for future webinars, etc., they will be the point of contact. And also, I mean, these are volunteers, and it's great to have them here and you all. Okay, so I guess we can go to the next slide then.
Let's see. Here we go.
Okay, so this was a long introduction to let you know that this is the CUSP webinar series, our first installment. The idea is to have a regular Zoom webinar for SEG student chapters. Have not only topics that relate to how things work at SEG or how to apply to grants or what programs can you benefit from, but also have speakers with technical and career related topics. Best practices for student chapters, anything that will be relevant to you as how to make the student chapter work better. As I said before, student programs such as Student Leadership Symposium, Student Education Program, Evolve, which a deadline is coming, how to apply for scholarships, field travel grants, applications for field trips, etc. Field camp, yeah, outreach, etc. How to make better your annual report. If you have any doubt or concern that we feel could benefit for a bigger group of youth, we can have a webinar about. And also events such as the annual meeting, IGSCs, etc. So we would like to ask you directly at this point, what would you think would be interesting topics for future webinars? If you want to say it right now, perfect, we'll be willing to listen to that. If you want to think about it, just reach your point of contact, and then in an email, I think these are the topics that we should cover. But it's really important for us to listen what you have to say on this, because these topics are for you. And, you know, maybe what we think is more relevant is not something that you think is the best given the current situation. So So yes, let us know. I think the next one, Aurelian, is where you have the, okay, so we have our proposal. Our second CUSP webinar that we plan to have in December. We want to discuss the future of applied geophysics and have a panel with members from industry, academia, recruiting, and of course, students. So yeah, this is the moment where you express your opinion right now. We're gonna give that a couple of minutes. If you have any suggestion for a future topic, or you think instead of this one, it's more imminent to discuss something else, please let us know.
And if you're not familiar with the Zoom software, you gotta unmute yourself before you speak, because you're all auto-muted on entry to make sure that we don't have any interference noises. So please unmute yourself. Or type something in the chat window. It's an opportunity as well.
Well, I guess then we'll move on, right? Okay. So there are some upcoming deadlines and events, such as the application for Evolve due November the 8th. That's another program. You can check it on the SEG website, and it explains what exactly is. And if you're interested, please apply. And we also have the first SEG Virtual Student Conference, which you have to on November the 13th. The topics on this one will be seismic processing, inversion, travel time tomography, ray tracing, seismic interpretation, etc. It has diverse topics depending on the session, and that's the link to register. So it's also a Zoom conference format, such as this one. And so having discussed what is CUSP and what we plan to do in terms of webinars and some of the programs that you can reach as being a member of the SEG officer of SEG student chapters. Of course, we haven't covered them all. This is the moment to have questions in general about any question or concern that you need to have at this moment. Please let us know. It doesn't have to be about the webinar, but in general, things that you deal with as a student chapter officer, things that you think SEG should know about, etc.
So hello everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, so my name is Amin and I'm a third-year PhD student at Virginia Tech. First, want to thank you guys for the opportunity. I think this is great. I've been fortunate to be part of SEG for past 5 years, I guess, and benefited from many of its programs. And I think CUSP and this webinar is a great addition to the services that SEG is providing for the students. I guess the main concern that I have is, as a student in Eastern United States, is that SEG is mostly benefiting this, or at least that's my feeling, that SEG is mostly benefiting the student that universities, west side of US universities, especially the universities who are much more oil and gas friendly, or like in a state like Texas. So it's really hard for students like myself or students from my chapter to participate in SEG events, given that it's really expensive for us to travel over there. There's only a few programs, for example, like SEP and like those programs that kind of help us with a grant to come and participate in SEG. I think again, my only problem is that like as a student, it's really hard and a student from my chapter, it's really hard for us to participate or come to SEG events, just because it seems that it's mostly in Western United States, mostly in Texas, and we feel left out sometimes.
Well, I cannot reply for the whole SEG, but I can tell you that most of these programs are, I mean, the ones that are for student chapter officers, your application will be considered regardless of where you come from. And also, if you, for example, organize an international Geosciences student conference, you select the topics, you select your area of interest. You say, okay, we're not in oil and gas, but we are in, I don't know, this other field, oceanography. I'm not sure exactly, but like we're more into mining or we're more into this. And then our topic will be more focused in that. And you would attract that type of non-oil and gas related population of other students. So I would say don't get discouraged. Of course, Catherine can totally answer from the SEG point of view. But for me, I would say, you know, you have several programs to apply, that it doesn't matter exactly what your background is. It just matters that you have a good application and all the items considered for the application, like whichever the requisites are. For example, SEP, which is more into oil and gas, probably might not be the great target for you, but there are some others that you can totally apply. And your chapter will be evaluated equally for the Subcommittee of Excellence program, regardless of the focus of it, in the science portion of it, if it's, you know, the discipline. But of course, Catherine can complement this or say something about it.
Sure. Thank you.
Hey, everybody.
Your question.
Hope you're doing well. And as you know, we work on influencing the chapters out on the East Coast as much as we can, but you are right, it is very limited out there. There's, you know, possibly, maybe someday we'll have a huge convention out there, but we do stay, like you said, kind of the mid-continent. But you keep doing what you're doing. I mean, you'll do well. And everybody else, all the chapters everywhere, again, SEP, SLS, even the technical program travel grants, those will help you get out to our conferences and conventions, and just keep working at it, keep applying. And oh, by the way, I'm Catherine Elkins. I didn't even introduce myself. Catherine Elkins with the SEG. I'm a student and early career advisor. You will see my emails come out to all these student chapters, reminding you about your chapter reports are due, that SEP, SLS travel grants or applications are available. And anytime you have questions, you can directly email me and I will respond as soon as possible. Again, if you have any questions on anything student related, feel free to email me, not a problem.
Thank you, Catherine. You've always been there for us, and I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. I enjoy it.
Thank you. We have another question that says, from the University of Florida, what is the best way to encourage speakers to come to our university? That's a good question. I would say my zone answering here, present what you do, show that you're really interested, why that talk would be relevant and interesting to you. And I mean, show that there's a group of people behind that request. And it depends on the conditions. I'm not sure if they require financial assistance or what are the details in that question. But if I'm a speaker and I see a group of students really motivated that work in something similar to what I work on or have presented, I would be really glad if I could join you guys. So I'm not sure who else can comment on this question. What are your takes on this, Aurelian or the rest of us? You're mute.
Let me add in here. For our speakers, we have an honorary and distinguished lecturer program, and their schedule is always up online. And many of them now are doing virtual lectures. So we're trying to encourage student chapters to, at least one student needs to register for that virtual lecture. And then we want the chapters to, project it out on a screen and for the whole chapter to watch at the same time. It's getting more and more that way for virtual lectures, and but you can always see a schedule on the SEG website as well. Many of the faculty advisors will get an invite twice a year, saying that we have lectures in the area, or making their schedule basically for the rest of the year. So a lot of times faculty advisors will get a notice that asking if they would like a lecturer to be at their university, speak at their university. Now we can't take them all, but at least it gives us notice that somebody's interested and can host the speaker. So your faculty advisors should be looking out for that, and keep checking our SEG.org website under the lecturer schedule and see if anybody's coming in your area as well.
I just posted the link to the lectures on the chat.
Thank you, Clark. I mean, and also in addition to SEG programs, in all the chapters, student chapters that I've been part of, you can totally have your local speakers, and you contact the people you are interested in giving a talk, and it usually, it works. So just need to find, I guess, someone willing to help and put a grain of sand into the education pool. Any other questions? Comments?
Yeah, I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, we cannot see you very well, but we can hear you.
Well. Hi everyone, my name is Abraham and I'm from Mexico City. I have for this time, how can my chapter interact with these topics? What is the benefit for the students? There are so many contacts that we can communicate with them. I say that because I'm very interested with conferences, but especially with international conference. How can communicate with these conferences or like that, especially for my university? But well,
what do you mean as communicate with those conferences? Could you clarify?
Conferencistas.
With the panelists.
Yes.
But for what? Like okay. So what Catherine was saying about the lecturer program, etc. What would the benefit for you to do that?
Yeah, what is the benefit and how can communicate with them for try to take this specialist for my university? It's like to encourage speakers to come to our university. Well,
Catherine, do you want to tell them about how to apply for that, or?
Yeah, like that. It's my questions.
Okay. Abraham, can you move your camera down a little bit so we can see your face, please? Hey, there you are. All right.
Hi.
Hello. So again, as I was saying, to invite one of our lecturers, our distinguished or honorary lecturer, your faculty advisor at the SEG chapter gets an email asking if they would like a speaker to come. So it's up to your advisor to answer that email and host that lecture. Like I said, we can't always guarantee somebody's going to be able to visit your chapter, but we can always keep an eye out if anybody's going to be in your area. And again, you can check the schedule on the website, and Clark put up the link on the chat. to see if a lecturer is going to be in your area, because they may be at another university. And we usually announce it. So if you can just also follow us on, I don't know if you have Facebook, but SEG Students, we usually announce lecturers coming out to the university as well. So it's kind of also keeping on top and looking at our event schedule, events calendar on the SEG website. But as far as like a student inviting a lecturer, it has to go typically through your faculty advisor. Hope that helps.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
Sure.
Any other questions? Nope. This is your last chance to ask now, or then send an email. It's fine. We'll answer anyways. No?
And so,
Oh, good. Perfect.
yeah, just a comment, not really a question. Also, hello.
Yes.
Yeah, the chapters that I've been I've been assigned to, I think some of them are responding positively, and they have various projects which they are taking, mostly has to do with the outreach program. However, most of them feel that the funding is not really enough for them. They have challenges in terms of funding. So I don't know if there's a way SEG can maybe guide them, or how can we guide them in terms of seeking funding to do some of their projects that could maybe be of help to most of them. So, yes, that.
Well, that's part of this webinar. SEG has, for the students to have access to the established SEG programs and their application procedures and deadlines that we're very happy detailed in a future webinar series, so they all are aware of they can apply for and the opportunities that they have. And Catherine, of course, can continue on that.
Yeah, so what I think I understand what you're asking or talking about is that these chapters are saying how they do not have funding to do events or go on little field trips or activities. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. Yeah, I get that question a lot, and I get that statement a lot, that the chapters just have no money and they want help with the membership, and so we do not have a program to where we can just send money to chapters for activities, yearly activities. We have an outreach grant that they are welcome to apply for that actually just closed, that will provide them $1,000 to promote Geosciences out into their community. So that helps with activities that they may be wanting to do. And then we have a emerging nations program right now for some memberships for certain chapters. And then we also encourage chapters to do fundraising, and what we need to do is start helping and teaching, encouraging them, giving them ideas of what to do to fundraise, what kind of activity could they do to gain some money to help with their interest of what they want to do. It is a struggle for some of them, and we try our best and encourage them fundraising and give them tips. I don't know if anybody has some fundraising ideas to share, pass on. Maybe we can write something up and send it out to the chapters as well.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
So if you don't have any more suggestions, comments, or questions, I guess we just are gonna close this first second session of this first webinar, and just giving you thanks for attending and hoping that you take advantage of this and you overflow our emails with suggestions for future topics to discuss, things that interest you, both technical and non-technical, so we can continue communicating more directly with you guys. And also remember that you have your points of contact that you can just, any question or concern, send them their way. And just, I hope we can motivate you to be really, active and do great things for your student chapters, and we're here to help. So thank you so much for the work that you do, and thank you for attending today. Gracias. Bye-bye.